And Jimmy Val and High Hack Society. Here you go, Jim.
Where am I right now? Before I get started, real quick, I want to give some shout outs to High Hack Society, MySec, and of course the BSides Chicago organizers and volunteers. This is actually my first time being at BSides Chicago and my first conference in a while. So before I get rolling, I'll talk a little bit about myself, because I love talking about myself. I'm Jimmy Vo, for those who do not know me or can't read the big slide. I am a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt, so I'll triangle choke anyone out if I have to. I'm also a Muay Thai practitioner, and those who do know me, I do talk about roundhousing stuff a lot. I can legitimately throw a roundhouse kick. If you know Nick Jacobs, he's right there. He can tell you how hard I can kick. I think he said it's like getting hit with a bat, right? Yeah, like that. So I've been training MMA for 7 years. I fought in a cage once. I usually talk about that when I'm on a date or something, but I leave out the part that I lost. So I do actually do work occasionally. I'm a security consultant at VitalPoint when I'm not choking people out or punching faces. I focus mainly on SIM, security monitoring, and I assist on some of the penetration tests. And two of my colleagues here are also speaking, Wolfgang and Beltface, so check out their talks. So I called my talk, How to Win Friends and Influence Hackers. And it's an obvious title jacking from How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. If you have not read it, definitely read it. And basically, I'm previewing this talk. I only have 25 minutes to talk, so just previewing it here at BSides Chicago. And it's a combination of personalities, covering personalities and sort of my roles of engagement when I'm interacting with people in information security. I do not have a psychology background, so don't troll me on that. So who cares? This guy does not care, obviously. The biggest thing about influencing people in information security is their ability to create a network. And networking goes two ways. If you have a big network, you can help people. That's the biggest thing in my mind. It's about helping people, and then there's people that are willing to help you. I would not be at where I am now if I didn't have a big network of people willing to help me out. Also, we all face a pretty big challenge in information security. We all joke about it. Security's hard, right? A little bit hard. And the best way to tackle complex and difficult problems is to work together as a community. And Ben 10 was talking about it earlier, about how we have to work together. So that was sort of the reason why I developed this talk. And we do a very good job today. There's tons of conferences, open source projects, and other projects that are really tackling the big challenges in information security. And obviously, there's always ways to improve. So let's talk about personality types a little bit. I decided to use Myers-Briggs. There seems to be a lot of research on it. A lot of people know their Myers-Briggs personality type. I totally get that there's criticisms, right? The idea of putting people in 16 different buckets is sort of crazy because we're very dynamic and complex. So I decided to get some data, or try to get some data, on personality types in information security. So I shot out a really short survey. 4 questions were on the survey. Do you know your Myers-Briggs personality type? What is your Myers-Briggs personality type? And your job title and additional comments field where a lot of people trolled me on. So thank you for that. So there were 81 people that responded with their personality types. So not a bad data set, I would say. So I'll go over some of the results, and I'll release the full results sometime this week if you're interested in seeing the data on the personality types in security. But I wanted to talk about personality types because it helps you understand how to frame your communication, how you're going to communicate with someone. How I talk to one person is going to be totally different than how I talk to another. So again, I only have time to cover about 4 personality types. So let's talk about them a little bit. So I use a lot of puppies in my PowerPoint to distract you, so don't mind that. And everyone loves puppies, I think. I hope. But the first letter of the Myers-Briggs personality type, if you're not familiar with it, it's the 4-letter personality type. It starts with I or E. And there's a pretty big misconception, I think, of what an introvert is and an extrovert is. I always thought introverts were those who do not like talking to people, and extroverts like to talk to people. And that's not the fact at all. That's not how it is. It's about where they get their energy. So let's talk about introverts. Introverts tend to get their energy from within. They think before they act. They create solid ideas. They feel comfortable being alone and doing things by themselves. They get tired from being in social settings, and they need to be alone and recharge. As opposed to extroverts, they get their energy externally. Excited to be around people. They'd rather talk problems out loud. And they have a wide range of friends and are comfortable in groups. So what do you think the split of introverts to extroverts is in my data set? Anyone? Not quite. 66.6% introverts to 33.3% extroverts, or introverts are 66%. Sounds about right, I think, right? So here's some data and some circles. Everyone likes circles, I think. And this is a visual representation of the respondents in my survey. To the right of the nice colorful circles are the respondents, or the results. So we have the INTJs, ENFPs, ENTJs, and INTPs who sort of dominate the responses. And you can see the numbers to the right of that. So this is pretty interesting. These 4 personality types represent 66% of my data set. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So let's talk about the personality types a little bit. I definitely recommend reading up on the 16 personality types. I'm not going to go over all of them again because I don't have time to. So let's talk about the INTJs. Again, they make up 37% of the respondents, but they make 1% of the general population. So that's pretty crazy. And if you think about it, if you apply this personality to information security, it actually isn't that crazy. So I kind of take that back. INTJs are typically highly analytical, creative, logical. I work with a couple of them. They're aggressive for new concepts and knowledge. Hacker's gonna hack, right? They're stimulated by difficult problems. I guess security's hard. And they're reserved. They prefer solitary work, sort of the introvert quality. And they're ordered and very structured. So let's talk about the ENFPs a little bit, and more puppies, of course. They make up 11% of my data set, and they're found only in 5% of the population. So they're not quite a unique snowflake like the INTJs. Typically have strong people skills. They relate well to others. They tend to be disorganized. I am an ENFP. I'm pretty disorganized. And they're capable of doing anything they're interested in. They're sort of like puppies, actually. I actually read it somewhere. And they're very curious about a lot of different things. So the ENTJs, they make up 9.8% of the data set again. And their style is known as the companion. They're leaders. They have a basic driving force to lead, even at an early age. They use structure to harness people and accomplish a goal, and they're not naturally tuned to other people's feelings. And the last personality type is INTP, also known as the architect. They see in terms of how things can be improved or what they can be turned into. They primarily live within their own minds, and they focus with their energy internally, so sort of that introvert quality. All their analysis, they do analysis, they identify patterns, they come up with logical explanations within, and they value knowledge above everything else. And they tend to not lead and control people. So this is what they say about the personality types. It's not totally accurate. Everyone is different, but it's a good overview, I would say. So it definitely, again, read up on personality types. It helps you frame your message and understand people. So I'm going to transition a little bit now that we have a little bit of information on personality types. And it's sort of the Dale Carnegie approach that I personally use when I interact with people in security. And I typically interact with a lot of people on Twitter, but that's just me. And the principles, obviously, are from Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. More puppies? Yeah. So this one seems kind of crazy. Give honest and sincere appreciation. And it's important to note that flattery and appreciation is totally different. Flattery can seem not genuine, but being sincere can be. Just say thank you. And it's stupid that I'm up here telling you guys to say thank you, but it seems like my generation is very unappreciative sometimes. That's what they say about the millennials. This one's sort of a slippery slope. And it's just what I don't do. I really try not to criticize, condemn, or complain. And if I do criticize, I try to add some value. So when I teach part-time with Thai boxing, and my trainer was like, yeah, we use the PCP method with our students. And I'm thinking to myself, what, we smoke PCP before we train, or what? And he's like, no, it's praise, correct, praise. So we give a good piece of feedback, you say something they can improve on, and we give them another piece of good feedback. And it helps not break them down. So I thought that was pretty neat. And I just try not to be a jerk-off, just straight up. We have an InfoSec jerk who holds it down for us. I don't know who he is, but I love that dude. And the last thing, the last principle, is be interested. Yeah, we're all interested in information security. It's obvious. But I like to find out someone's secondary hobby. What are they into? Are they into MMA? Are they into training, photography? That's a good way to relate to someone because, again, it's obvious we're all into information security, but the secondary hobbies helps you relate and be genuinely interested. So what are the next steps for this talk? It was very brief. I didn't have much time. I'm looking to integrate emotional intelligence, covering social identity, and discussing interaction styles, and kind of pulling it all together and developing an hour-long talk. So here are some references. It's crazy. I practiced this talk like 18 times, and it was 30 minutes over, and it's only 16 minutes right now. That's typical, though, right? So if you have any questions, you can contact me on Twitter at JimmyVo. Email me, jvo@biopoint.com. I didn't want to put my MySpace URL up there and get hit up all over the place. Thank you.